Hey, sorry for the interruption, but we wanted to let you know that this week's episode is brought to you by Spotify for Podcasters. Really cool app. Josiah and I use it for every single show that we bring to you every week. You can edit podcasts right from your phone or computer, so you can start creating as soon as you log into the platform. You can easily distribute your podcasts to Spotify and everywhere else the podcasts are heard, just like we do every single week. You can also create video podcasts on Spotify, which is really cool. And of course, you can earn money like I'm doing right now by including ads and even podcast subscriptions. And best of all, it's totally free. There's no catch. We really love it. We use it every single week. So we encourage you to go download the Spotify for Podcasters app or go to www.spotify.com/podcasters to get started. All right, let's get back to the show.
On this week's episode, we chat with Kevin Sterling and pick his brain about his POD business and what he sees as huge opportunity in the future. Let's get into it. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Print on Demand Cast. We are excited to have you here with us. As always, I am Josiah, and joining me is the co-host, the co-captain from Make Your Mark Design, Mr. Travis Rosh. Travis, how's it going, man? Happy Tuesday. I don't know what day it is anymore. It all kind of blends together. So I kind of feel like Groundhog's Day sometimes, but it's a Tuesday. And here we are. We're getting ready to dive into our first interview that I feel like we've had in a while.
Yeah.
I'm very excited about it. Someone that reached out to you, Kevin, reached out to you with some questions. And we kind of said, well, why don't you just kind of come on the show and we'll connect and kind of learn about what you're doing. So super excited to have a guest with us for this episode.
Yeah, he's a really, really cool dude. He's got a lot of things going on, as you'll hear. And Print on Demand is kind of a side hustle for him, at least right now, and has been for a while. And I feel like it's a perfect kind of guest to have on the show, because I think a lot of people are in that same boat. It's, Print on Demand isn't their full-time gig. It's just a side hustle. It's something that they want to see grow. And so Kevin's kind of going through all the growing pains, and he's learned some hard lessons, and but he's definitely kind of in it to win it. He's planning on, creating some time for himself to do more and more things. It's a good interview. I think you guys will get a lot out of it.
Yeah. Super, super excited to dive in. Kevin was a great interview, and huge thanks to him, even on the front end, for kind of accepting this last minute, as we kind of had some schedules shifting and things changing availability wise for you and I. So huge kudos and thanks to Kevin for hopping in. So we don't want to waste any time. We want to get into it. It's about 40-ish minutes worth of a chat with Kevin. Lots of great information, super good pointers. Another one that you're going to want to probably rewind, maybe take some notes, not if you're driving, because it's obviously hazardous, and I'm not going to be subpoenaed for that court case as to why someone got in an accident because they were riding while they were driving. So all that to say, you're going to want to re-listen. Because lots of good stuff here. So we'll go straight to our main event with Kevin Sterling.
Main event, who's calling?
All right, Travis, this week for the main event, we have a guest in our midst. Anyway, there's a third person on the show for the first time in what seems like way too long. And I'm sure you, the listener, are all applauding that you don't have to listen to just Travis and I talk for the entire episode. We have a guest. Very excited to have Kevin Sterling with us. A little bit about Kevin. For those of you listening, Kevin Sterling is a graphic designer and has been self-employed for 13 years. He's worked for print brokers and screen printers, so he's learned a lot about the printing industry. He currently runs Made for Print, which is an outsourced art department. Additionally, he's running a Shopify store as well as an Etsy store to sell print-on-demand products. So it is with great pleasure and excitement that we welcome to the show Mr. Kevin Sterling. Kevin, thank you so much, my friend, for coming on.
Guys, thanks for having me.
Yes.
Yeah, you bet, man. Yeah.
How's things going for you?
Oh, good. Another day in paradise up here in Hudson Valley.
Nice.
Hudson Valley, where's that?
That's about an hour and a half north of New York City. So once you kind of like get north of the Bronx or so, that's when it starts getting into the valley up until about Albany or so.
Okay.
Nice.
Right
cool.
on.
Well, we're having a gorgeous day here in Colorado, so
Don't
gorgeous
jinx it.
days all around. I know. Well, we connected. You reached out to me. We had a conversation, I don't know, probably a month and a half ago, and we talked about a lot of things. Got to know a little bit about you, but kind of want to go into some of that for our listeners. Usually the first thing we do before we get into the actual, meat and potatoes of the interview, we like to have a little segment called the Weekly Dad Joke. Let's run that.
Time for the Weekly Dad Joke.
Nice. And you're the guest, Kevin, so you have to go first.
Okay, perfect. So I didn't tell you guys right before the show. I actually played a little joke on my wife where I made lunch and I said, "Hey, you've got steak there, and I'm a hunter, so I had a little bit of deer heart in the fridge, which is sometimes not always something that people are so happy to eat." So I said, "Hey, babe, I got steak," and I sent her a picture of it. She said, "Oh, it's delicious. I can't wait to eat it." So we were sitting here, and she texts me and says, "You just played a joke on me. This is heart." And I said, "Babe, you are what you eat, and you're mine."
Nice.
There it is. What can I say? It's a sentimental dad joke.
It is. I like it. I like it. All right, Travis, you brought ours this week.
Okay. Yeah, I was the other day had kind of a run-in with my lunch. I actually got diarrhea after eating alphabet soup. It was a large vowel movement.
So dumb.
It is. So dumb. But someone will repeat it somewhere. And,
for sure. I can't.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be amazing to see or to know the percentage that our dad jokes are repeated just in daily conversation of our listeners. And they're like just spouting off these dad jokes at random because of us. It's good. I feel good about it.
Happy to contribute to the dad jokery of the nation. I'm really proud about that. All right. Well, let's stop with all the riffraff. Kevin, we always ask, the first question we always ask our guests is just to kind of tell us your print on demand story. And you can go, you've been in printing for a long time, wasn't necessarily print on demand, but feel free to, just kind of catch the listeners up on what you've been up to in the print on demand space. Sure.
So a few years ago, which I should backtrack. So I have a dog. I have a Vizsla, if you're familiar with the breed. It's a Hungarian pointing breed, and I spend a lot of time and money training the dog. And I basically was thinking about how everybody likes Vizslas. They get used in advertisements a lot because they're kind of athletic, sporting-looking dogs. So at first I started thinking, I spend so much money on this dog, why don't I think about like a little side hustle that I could do to basically start selling Vizsla merchandise, because everything that I saw in the Vizsla merchandise space kind of looked like cat lady stuff, if I could use that term, where it was kind of, none of it was interesting. Like it all looked like Google photos that had kind of been doctored up and kind of like dumped onto a design. And so I said, I know I can do better than this. And even though my dad joke might have been like the worst one in the show's history, I'm pretty good at like puns and copywriting and stuff like that. So, I figured I could make something more attractive. So a couple of years ago, I started Velcro Vizsla, which is kind of interesting in terms of lesson learned, just the aspect of like using Velcro, just like a trademark term. So I'm probably in the midst of like switching it out to something else, but I kind of anticipated that. So I actually bought a bunch of like domains at the same time. So I could make an Audible and switch to another name if I had to. But the idea was basically print on demand Vizsla themed merchandise that would help me recoup some costs of training and at the same time, kind of scratch creative itch. So um, I went through a period, and again, like typical cobbler shoes, right? Like I run, two main companies. So
Mhm.
this is kind of like side project, which I don't have time for. So last year I tried like hiring a marketing agency of people who were, oh, we're gonna get you all over Google shopping listings and yada yada. It was all these things they were gonna do and like SEO
Mhm.
and all this stuff. I spent like few $1,000s like to make things happen, and we would have sales, but at one point I kind of pumped the brakes and said, uh, I don't think this is ever going to ROI based on, like what my
Mhm.
margins are on the products and how much I've spent with you guys and what you're telling me, like how long I need to wait to keep making money. So um, I pulled the plug on that and I said, there has to be like some resources out here that like I need to allocate the time to do the work and find out. And that's actually how I found the Print on Demand podcast. And the first thing that I really like latched onto was uh, which I kind of had known from like a previous business experience, is just that like the hardest thing in the world is convincing people to come to like your website. It's a lot easier to
Mhm.
basically like get in front of them when they're already on another site. So
Mhm.
that kind of became the switch, and I decided until it made complete sense, I was not going to be paying people to try and promote my products again. So kind of where we're at is uh, I just sort of like in personal life, I just finished a big house project. I promised my wife I would get done, and now it's basically like coming into the season of, okay, what are we going to do to reinvest time into Velcro
Mhm.
Vizsla so that we're ready for Q3 and Q4.
For sure. Yeah, it's perfect timing. I mean, get everything ready, and then you can really capitalize on that Christmas buying season in Q4, and probably get some traction there. So I know we mentioned Shopify and Etsy in the intro. Are those the only two channels you're currently selling on? And do you have your eyes on others, or what's the plan there?
Definitely going to go Amazon. I basically was just figuring one thing at a time. So I will get on Amazon, and I listened to the episode you guys had a few weeks ago talking about different channels. So might end
Mhm.
up on Walmart. I'm not sure.
Mm.
I'm not sure if the honestly, I don't know if the appeal's there for specialty dog stuff on Walmart, but if it is, then might as well be on that too.
Sure.
Yeah.
Now, who's fulfilling your products for you? Do you have multiple vendors, or are you just using one or two?
I use Printful
Okay.
Nice.
to do that.
How's
Yeah,
that?
so they do everything.
How's that experience been with their products and their quality and their shipping times and just all of that?
Yeah, it's been great. No issues on quality. A couple of times, if I've ordered samples were a little goofy, but then when the orders would
Mm.
get placed, I've never had a kickback on a bad print or anything like that.
Mhm.
Shipping times, they tend to be accurate. Like they give the estimated ship time on everything that goes out. So I even found it to be slightly sooner than what they say it is. So
Wow.
that's always good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely good. I think that's good to hear too, because a lot of our listeners are like yourself and they're doing drop shipping, and Travis and I know of Printful, but having a practical experience with it, fulfilling our products consistently is
Mhm.
something that we don't necessarily have the experience with. I think
Mm.
we've maybe fulfilled 2 or 3 things here and there, or I have at least, using Printful. So to have someone that can speak intelligently about it, so that if someone's listening and considering a platform, knowing that you've had good luck with Printful is probably very useful information. And I'm sure there's pros and cons, just like there's with every platform. But it's good to be able to hear
Sure.
your experience with that as well. So we know what channels you're on at the moment, but when you look at workflow, like how do you, a couple of questions here, like how do you create your designs? What's the workflow, and how many designs are you currently uploading to these platforms, on a monthly, weekly basis?
Yeah. So something I kind of realized along the way, and again, part of my graphic design background is in supporting basically like retail industry in both New York City area and around the country. And so things get divided into collections. And so at first I started basically like just throwing out like shotgunning ideas, and I said, this doesn't really make it easy for people to shop if it's kind of like there's no theme associated with the designs. And so the first thing I started doing was organizing by themes, and basically had like Vishlas where I called it like my hero collection, and it was like Vishlas in different scenarios, dressed up as different things and kind of funny stuff. And then I made, again, this goes into the puns, but I had a collection called Sweet Dreams, where it's like sweet dreams are made of V's, and it's all just sleeping Vishlas. And basically like the whole collection of stuff based on that. So from a hierarchy standpoint, I started with collections, and at the core level, I started with t-shirts just because, again, when I kind of got into it, I didn't know anything else. It was just, okay, t-shirts. But then as I kind of got more comfortable with Printful, I started seeing, okay, well, this thing would be perfect on a pillow, and this thing would be perfect on leggings, or other kinds of things. So I continue to explore, again, like I really like expanding the things. And again, based on what you guys have said, I need to, get the organization under me in terms of spreadsheets and SKUs and all that stuff.
Sure.
But for now, it's it's again the cobbler's shoes. So I've got a lot of catching up I need to do to get it where I think it could be.
Sure. And for those listening, and Kevin, you might not have seen this either, but as soon as you said the words organization and spreadsheet, I could see a smile just come across Travis's face, because you're talking one of his love languages here. He loves spreadsheet. Which, if you listen to the show, I'm sure you know that he nerds out about it. So you've made his.
Do you guys know there's I listened to another podcast where one of the co-hosts is she's like a big spreadsheet nerd, and she actually has a t-shirt that says a lady in the streets, a freak in the spreadsheets. So you have to switch it up.
Yeah, that's awesome. I've seen something similar to that, but it says gentleman in the streets, freak in the sheets, but it has like an Excel sheet on it.
Yeah.
Which is pretty funny. That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I don't love working with spreadsheets. I just love the benefit, what you can do with them. Yeah, just the organization that comes with it. That's really the bigger kind of, I don't know, driver behind me pushing those things so much. But it's really the organization side of things, and being able to create solid workflows and solid SOPs. Speaking of that, I was just curious, like, do you have anybody that's working with you in the business or helping you, or do you like hire any VAs or is it just you?
Yeah. So it's funny is even though I'm a graphic designer, I actually hire out a lot of the illustration that gets done. I like illustration, but again, like I know that I won't have time to do it to the degree that I want to do it. So I hire an illustrator on Upwork. At one point I had 2 illustrators, and then I just kind of like gravitated towards the one that I seem to have the best rapport with. And, she'll provide me with an illustration, and then I kind of do the doctoring up to get the, layout and whatnot configured. And, I think again, like in terms of positioning growth, that's where I would see opportunity is like a VA or someone to basically do the data crunching that, I would rather not do,
Sure.
What kind of data would you want that person to crunch exactly?
Probably, I mean, my assumption, or I guess understanding is with Amazon, it is possible to like bulk upload products, and it's basically bulk listings. Because the listings are so tedious, it's like every time I get the email from Printful that's like, this is discontinued, you have to change this. I'm like, I hate that. I really don't want to do it.
Yeah, I feel you, which is why, I mean, to Travis's point, the benefits of the organization is great, and getting a handle on all the data crunching part, the spreadsheets, the flat files, because for years, Travis told us, like, you guys need to do this, and both my father-in-law and I both are like, yeah, but like, do we? Because it seems to be working pretty okay. And then we had to do it retroactively, and it was horrific.
Emotional damage.
Was not.
Go ahead, Kevin.
Well, I was just going to say, it's funny how that stuff catches up with you. I just had the other day, I had a startup founder reach out to me, and I haven't worked for them, I don't know, like 8 years, but they must be going through like a merger, expansion or something.
Sure.
And I had to like re-sign an IP contract because like the initial IP contract like wasn't in place, and so I had to like clean it up. So I can see how if you didn't have your processes and documentations in place, if you ever expected to grow to a point that you might get licensed or sold or anything like that, it's only going to hurt you if you don't have the foundation in place.
Yeah,
100%. Yeah. Moving on, have you used any like ads or Etsy ads or any like Google ads for your Shopify store? And if so, what was your experience with them? And do you have any like tips or, recommendations for our listeners?
Yeah. It's funny, when I had the firm that was working for me, they were supposed to be running Google ads. And I don't know, this is like, again, I've worked with VAs and outsourced people for, as long as I've, 13, 14 years longer, a long time. And it was like they could never get everything lined up. Like they would say, oh, there's an error in Shopify and there's an error on your Google store, and Google Shopping is not accepting your product listings. And it was just like hiccup after hiccup after hiccup. And I had even, when I hired them, said, like, have you done print on demand, advertising? Oh yeah, we have a couple of clients, blah, blah, blah. So I had tried to do ads and it never panned out. So I pulled the plug on it. So I think I ran Facebook ads for a little bit, and, again, they work, they make a little bit of money. But I think like my perfect world, there'd be somebody who just like knew the game and had it dialed in and could do it rapidly and effectively. It's like, that's kind of like the unicorn, right? It's like finding that, but people waste a lot of time and money if you let them.
Yes, they do. And it's your money. So you got to make sure that that ROI is actually, a positive number when you start adding advertising into your business model. All right. So you've kind of come in a roundabout way to working on, your Etsy store and looking at Amazon and these things. What would you say to someone who's just starting out? Would you recommend, the Shopify route? Would you recommend Etsy, Amazon? And then what are some things that they should make sure to be aware of before they get into this print on demand game?
Sure. Well, I think it's really important to think down the road a little bit and figure out what success looks like to you, and are you willing to do the things that would require you to be successful? Because you might have kind of like a dream of, oh, I want like a quaint, cute thing that's like very artful and whatnot, and then if you extrapolate the associated amount of money that you think you're going to make on that, it might require you to do things that you don't know that you're necessarily willing to do. And so I think you kind of have to know who you are in that sense. And if that's kind of like too murky, I guess I could give an example. I used to own kind of like a specialty camping equipment company, and we made like really greatly designed stuff. Like we're featured in design blogs. I was in like Japanese GQ, all these like really like high-end design things. And the thing that we didn't really know at the time was like that distribution aspect, where like we were trying to drive all the traffic to our site, and we had, decent sales for many years. But I remember somebody that I worked for at the time was saying, you've got to get on Amazon, you've got to get on all these marketplaces. Right. And at the time I said, well, I don't think that's right for our brand, because we're supposed to be high end and like handcrafted, and all kind of like we thought that it was like cheapening the aspect of the brand. And in retrospect, like maybe we should have gone big into Etsy or big into like some of these other kinds of things. But um, the other thing that I learned in that process that I think applies to print on demand is if you go to a trade show, whether it's a twice a year trade show or once a year, or whatever, everyone's asking you what's new. So they want to know like what have you brought that I didn't see last time, and so like some people kind of like put it all out at front in the front in the beginning, and they like run out of ideas. And so I think it's important to like have that pipeline of like, hey, look, we're going to have a couple of designs now. And even though I have whatever, not me, but I'm saying like, let's say I have 100 designs, like don't put them all out at once. Like put them out and trickle them out so that there's always a reason to come back to the store because something is always new. Because otherwise, I think people run out of gas and it's kind of on to the next thing. So, and in that process, you get more ideas. So I think you have like a stronger sense of what are people resonating with and where you can go. So that would probably be my advice. And then again, like it's I think you guys I think you've said this quote on here, but it's like from Derek Sivers where it's like if more information was the answer, we'd all be billionaires with perfect abs. And so it's basically like you have to execute in the direction of where you expect to be consistently, like even if it's half an hour a day, that's better than like your 2-hour binges on Sunday morning or something like that. So
yeah, totally. I mean, ideas are a dime a dozen. It really, what makes the difference is implementation. And I think you nailed it. I also like, I mean, we've talked a lot about, starting with the end in mind and then working backwards. And it sounds like that's kind of been your strategy. What does success look like? And then how do I get there? And what are the steps and creating your workflow or your to-do list, if you will, based on what's at the top of the mountain, and then how do I get there? I think that's genius. And then your point about, we just talked about this, I think last week or the week before, just about the idea of when we get a client, they're like, okay, I want to put all my designs on all of these products. And we're like, whoa, slow your roll. You don't give people a reason to come back, to your point. They come and they buy one thing, and then if they buy anything, they might even click off because it's just too many things. And then they never show back up again. But if you have just a few things, they buy then, and then you do another launch later and they come back and there's new things, and maybe they buy a second thing, and they would not have bought two things had it all been there at the outset. So I love like that pipeline element to your strategy too. So yeah, good advice. I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
Josiah, you got a question?
Yeah. So you are fairly new. I mean, like we said, you have print industry experience, but you kind of found your way into print on demand. So where do you see the biggest opportunities for print on demand? Like usually this is kind of ties into what we would call a magic question, I guess. Kind of putting the cart before the horse, I suppose. However, just from your experience and kind of what you see happening right now, what do you think some of the biggest opportunities are for print on demand, and what would you encourage our listeners to kind of look out for as far as opportunities that you see coming, that there is going to be a possibility of kind of taking advantage of to capitalize on?
Sure. I think, which I see this in every industry, right? Like, I think it's kind of like a market force, is that technologies and industries mature, and they mature towards efficiency. So just like, cars used to be handmade parts and hand stitched and hand pounded steel and all that stuff. And as it matured, they said, no, we can machine all of this. And I saw the same thing like early in my career with websites, how, oh man, we have to code this thing and it's so hard, and you want that custom thing, it's going to take weeks and cost money. And now it's like, nope, you have a plugin. So it's same thing with artwork. It was like when I was in design school, you drew everything and then you vector traced it and you like made everything from scratch. And now it's like well, why can't we just edit clip art, or why can't we, use like high-end stock sites? And so, I mean, I'm fascinated.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's exactly right. I mean, I hear what you guys have talked about before about like people are just automating AI to the point of just putting out T-shirt ideas. And so,
Yeah.
From a lot of my friends that work in technology, it seems like the value in AI is knowing how to query it. It's knowing how to use the tool. And so like the people who are able to figure out how to make AI deliver the most effective solutions the fastest, those are going to be the people that win. I mean, basically, like if you look at Google's history, like they weren't the first search engine; they were the one that figured out how to use keywords to synthesize what people really wanted, and then make that self-sustaining. So, I think that if someone can apply AI and make those prompts, even if those prompts are connected to Google keywords or some other kind of, what would you call it, an organizer of priority or organizer of information, then I think that's going to be the winner right there. So
cool.
Awesome.
That's great. You've obviously are way smarter than both Josiah and I, especially when it comes to technology. So we'll trust you that that's what's coming. Before we get to maybe we'll, I don't know how many magic questions Josiah has time for. He's in the middle of his workday, guys. So kudos to Josiah. I wanted to ask one more question. Just like what's a day in the life of Kevin Sterling? Like, what does your workflow look like I know you have two other businesses and then you have kind of print on demand on the side. So how does that work out on a daily basis for you?
Sure. So I'm a big fan of the Pomodoro technique. You guys familiar with that?
I've heard that, but no, go ahead and explain it.
Sure. So it's or it's like tomato timer or something is another name for it. But basically, you work in like 25-minute blocks, and so it's like 25-minute and then a 5-minute break, and then 25-minute and 5-minute break. And I don't know if it's 3 or 4 blocks, but then you take like a 15-minute break. And I'm always kind of like tweaking and changing my schedule and my kind of like workflow, I guess, throughout the day. So sometimes I've done it regimented where it's like, from 6 a.m. to the 7, it's this and blah, blah, like really tight. But then I find that I go through periods of life where it's like a little bit of a train wreck. And so I've recently kind of switched to like Pomodoro where it's like, okay, I need to spend 25 minutes on that and 25 minutes on that, 25 minutes on that. And basically would like jump through tasks in that way. On both of my companies, I have a lot of people that work with me. And so I look at, I feel bad that I don't remember who said this. I read it in a book last year and it was like, what do I know? What do I know? Who needs to know what I know, and have I told them yet? And that kind of like 3-question framework is like really big for me to look at where I'm stuck and then say, okay, no, like I don't actually have to do this. I can employ other people to do that. And so if that's not, I don't know if that's like too amorphic, but a lot of my day is like making sure other people do their job well and that everybody's happy and communicating and defining needs that people want. And, every now and again, if I get roped into looking at design things, then I try to not step on people's toes and fix design. I try to teach them how to fix their designs. But, that's what a lot of the day looks like. And, again, I kind of finished a personal project for my wife. And then now that I'm like looking at Q3 and Q4 of my print on demand business, it's going to be, okay, do we have like, how many Pomodoros in a day are we spending on it to get? And then again, if I feel like I'm falling behind, like, okay, do I bring in the VA to handle these listings, or like one of my existing designers, can they, make me variants on something like that? So, yeah, that's every day is different. So hope that's not too murky.
No, that's, I think a lot of people are, I mean, every day in my print on demand business is different too. So I think that's that's probably normal. I like that idea though, of chunking your work and, you know, giving yourself a break and then maybe coming back to something completely different. Cause I get distracted like nobody's business. That's just my personality. So are you kind of like in your print on demand business? Are you still, I mean, obviously you have products, you have listings out there. Are you, kind of now that you're done with this house project, are you focused more on like your SOPs or are you focused more on flooding the market or getting on more channels and more listings and like, where is that balance for you right now?
Sure. So I have a couple of immediate things I have to put out where they discontinued some shirts I was using, so I need to get those switched over to new product. And then I think it's going to be SOPs. Just because again, I'm playing the long game. I don't need to, you know, basically go nuts on social media at an unsustainable rate or, you know, start like dumping listings. So my plan is to really revisit the spreadsheets and say, okay, what are we going to do? And preemptively, I'm probably going to switch away from Velcro Vishla and probably just make it Vishla because it's, you know, if one keyword is good, then why not have two keywords? So I bought that ahead of time. And it's also Velcro and Vishla are pretty similar sized words. So I can take like my logos and the tags and my shirts and all that, and I can change them pretty easily without having to like redesign it. So it's basically going to be a simple switch, and a lot of people honestly might not notice. So
Nice.
just play that up. So otherwise, I mean, I think we'll build out Etsy and then see. Again, I don't know what Amazon's like qualifications are. I think for Amazon, I might go with merch on demand. Just again, because like I also don't have unlimited bandwidth to like deal with people. So if I can basically just like, I mean, I like people, very much like people, but just you know, I don't want to not be there for people that need me. So I think it's like,
Sure.
you know, I can put things on Amazon, and if they can handle all the fulfillment of it, great, everybody wins.
Sure. Yeah.
That's awesome.
100%.
Yeah, that's great. So we are going to transition to the magic questions, which is a segment of each interview that we do, where we have a kind of a list of questions that Travis and I just kind of pick a couple at random. So maybe we might do two. Maybe we'll just do the best one that we can find, other than the crystal ball question. But you were not debriefed, or you did not know this was coming, so you're gonna have to give some on the fly responses, and it's gonna be awesome. So with that being said, let's go to the bumper for magic questions. So Travis, if you had to pick one magic question to ask Kevin, what is that one magic question?
I feel like I'm going to ask you, Kevin, to tell us about a time when something happened in your business that felt like a win, something that just went perfect and surprised you, maybe even beyond your expectations.
Let's see. I feel I do so many things that it's important to try and keep it print focused. Let's see. I mean, the first sales are always great, right? Like when you kind of put it out into the ether. Yeah. So I think that's really great. And I think every time I've run an e-commerce store, I think it's like the first sales, and I think the times when like people find you and they're so excited that they found you, and you kind of like get that idea that like you scratched their itch and like you fulfilled that need that they didn't know that they needed, and they're just like stoked, you know. Like I think that's great, you know. Like it's kind of like the old adage about Henry Ford. Are you familiar? Where he said if he asked people what they wanted, they would have said a faster horse. And so it's kind of like you're you know, whenever you're like truly projecting something out of the ether, you know, like it's not the faster horse, like it's the car. So you know, yes, there are already like existing dog shirts, right? But when you kind of like make the one that's not like all the other dog shirts and basically like comes out of like, man, they didn't even know that was possible. I think that's probably like the best feeling, which is that's kind of the nature of creation, right? Is like you're not just like following a narrative, you're like coming at the narrative from the opposite side of things.
Yeah, I think that's one of the reasons I'm in it, you know, is just the understanding that, you know, people are receiving gifts and things that we had a hand in, you know, making somebody smile, you know, and that goes back to kind of a, what's your why, you know? And yeah, good answer. Josiah, what do you got?
I'm going to go on the flip side of that same coin and ask about a time when something happened in your business that felt like a complete failure, or like a moment where you're like, man, I don't know if this is going to continue, because we've all had them. And so what was that for you, and how did you kind of combat that? How did you overcome that moment that kind of felt like it was all over?
Yeah, well, I mean, in printing, there's nothing worse than a printing mistake. I think.
You're exactly right.
You know, whether they've been on my hand or somebody that works for me's hand, that's always kind of a disaster. You know, I've had the billboards that were too short or too long, or you know, this is not in my print on demand business, but one of our clients is a high end Italian fashion company, and we have to communicate with like their brand headquarters in Italy, and like Italy only works until noon for the Eastern US, you know, so it's like if you don't catch those guys, then you don't hear from them until the next day, or like if it's a weekend, you don't hear from them for like days. So we've definitely had things where something wasn't right and there's like nothing you can do about it, and the whole weekend you just like watch people implode you know, along the way. So
brutal.
I think something that kind of grounds me is that I've heard is like the communication matters more than the work, and so like even in the people that I hire, you know, like I'll forgive a lot of mistakes, but the one that I have a hard time forgiving is like not communicating, you know, because it's the easiest thing to do if you just like show up, you know. So when I make mistakes in my company, or like, you know, if something went wrong in print on demand, I always communicate. How do we fix it? You know, eat costs if that's what it comes down to. Keep people happy. You know, it's so, but it's again, it's I think that I mean that has like I think once I sort of like exhibited that degree of I would call it like, I don't know, emotional maturity in some ways. You know what I mean? It's like they're not going to kill you. They're probably not going to fire you for one mistake. But so you just, hey, look, this is how it happened and why it happened and what we wanted to do to fix it. And as long as the solution's okay for you, solutions are already in motion. You know, like that's if they're emotionally mature, then they probably say, okay, you've done everything you can. Let's move forward. You know.
Right. That's awesome. Yeah, I think communicate. I mean, that's what I used to say when we ran our print shop, was communication was huge for me, to your point, where just tell me that it happened. And the other thing that would make me the most irritated, even more than the mistake, was the not owning it and saying, I messed up, or I didn't catch that. So for sure. So before we let you go, Kevin, thanks again for hopping on the call and chatting with us for a little bit. But before we go, tell people that are listening where they can find you, whether it's your Wisla brand, or whether it's your, anything that you have out there that you want people to know about, promote. Now is the time to do that.
Yeah, sure. So again, we offer outsourced art departments for people who don't want to have all those people in-house. So that's Made for Print, FOR print.com. I'm Kevin at madeforprint.com, and my print on demand shop is velcrovisla.com, and we're on Instagram and Facebook. It's velcro.viz on Instagram, and I think velcro.viz/velcro.viz on Facebook. So I appreciate you guys having me on here very much.
Yeah,
that's
awesome.
For sure,
we'll
man.
Have all those links in the bio, of course, for everybody listening, so you can have ease of access.
Sweet. Well, Kevin, I'm sure we'll talk soon. Thanks again for coming on the show, and we'll catch you later.
Later, guys.
See ya.
See you, man.
huge shout out again to Kevin Sterling for hopping on the show and chatting with us. It was a lot of fun. Lots of good, like the 25-minute segmented workday was an interesting tidbit inside that I hadn't heard. What he referred to it as, I wasn't familiar with, but I've heard that concept. And I still don't really implement it, which I probably should, because I feel like it would save some sanity for sure. But yeah, overall, great interview. Anything that stood out to you as far as what Kevin had to say during our chat?
Sure. I mean, I mentioned it during the actual interview, but I just love the idea of, kind of starting with the end in mind, getting like, defining success? What does it look like? Where you want to go, and then working backwards from that, because otherwise you're just constantly putting out fires. And you may not be moving forward in your business because you're so busy on the minutia. And, it's that whole working on your business, versus working in your business. And, while if you're a one-man show or one-woman show, you might have to work in your business, but you need to take a certain amount of time, a certain percentage of your, allotted time to work on this business to like plan, to strategize, to think through, where you want to be and how to get there, and really have some of that kind of brainstorming time. You can't always just be doing tasks. It won't serve you well in the long run. You really do need to work on your business occasionally. So I really appreciated that he brought that out to the front, because it's just so important.
Yeah, for sure. Kind of reverse engineering everything. It's huge. And again, like you said, it goes back to our why. You said it in the course of our interview, which we've talked about on this show before. And it's always good. I was thinking about this morning pertaining to other areas of life, is kind of revisiting your why. So if you haven't done that in a while, do that, because you might find that your why has changed. You might find that it's been, you're further resolved as to your why and what you're wanting. And so it's always good just to kind of reevaluate with yourself occasionally. So be sure to do that as well. So again, check him out. Velcro Visla, which Visla sounds like an Italian electronic car, but it's not. It's a dog breed. So go check him out there. Velcro Visla, or soon to be Visla, as he was saying, as they continue to move on. So go support him, go check him out, and it'll be a great to catch up with him and see what progress has been made, for sure.
Yeah, so, I think his plans are to, really kind of jump in with both feet, since he, finished that project he was talking about. And so, we'll definitely have to check up with him and kind of see where things have gone in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. And the best place for you to catch up with us and the community and the group and what's happening with the podcast is printondemandcast.com/Facebook. You can join the Print on Demand group. There's a Print on Demand page as well. Join both. I haven't said this in a while, so let me say it now. Answer the questions. If you're coming to the group and you want to be a part of the conversation, answer the questions so we know that you're an actual person, not a bot, or not someone that's just trying to add another Facebook group to your social media quiver, which makes no sense to me as to why people do that, but they do. I've seen people a part of 3,000 groups, and I get annoyed when I'm a part of like 4, and I'm like, my feed is nothing but group. So kudos to the guy that's got 3,000 groups, and that's his entire feed. So that's got to be horrific. However, Facebook, Print on Demand printondemandcast.com/Facebook is where you can join our group. We have an Instagram as well, and we have a YouTube. The best place to find those is printondemandcast.com/Instagram/YouTube, and you will go directly to those channels as well. And wherever you're listening to this, whether it's Apple, Stitcher, Spotify, Google, whatever it is, Anchor, do us a favor. If you have the ability on that platform to leave a review, please do so. It helps the algorithm. It helps people find this information. People like Kevin who are starting out in a business, or kind of maybe this is their side hustle. There's nothing better than to hear from someone else that is in the same stage of business life as you are, or maybe someone that took the plunge, and maybe you're thinking, I don't know if I should take the plunge because will I drown? Well, you can listen to Kevin, who took the dive, and he's not only is he treading water, he's making progress. He's swimming. So it's great to hear from other folks in the industry that are in the same place as you. And the best way to do that is through podcasts like this. And of course, we're a little biased because we obviously host this one. So leave us a review, leave us a comment, let us know your favorite guest, favorite dad joke, favorite topic, favorite print on demand provider, favorite print. I don't care. Just talk to us, communicate, leave us that star rating so that we can help conquer the algorithm together. Travis, anything else before we wrap this one up?
I was going to mention, and this is kind of off the cuff, but I posted in our Facebook group just the other day, Uncle Mike is actually ramping up production in California.
Right. Yeah.
And he's looking for some quality employees. And so I thought, I don't know how many people are close enough to him. He's kind of in the Oakland, San Francisco area in California and that area. And, but there's a job post in the Print on Demand Cast Facebook group. So if you're not a member, go check it out. Even if you don't need a job and maybe you know somebody else who does, but I can't think of a better way to learn about print on demand than work in production and work closely with Uncle Mike, somebody who's been doing it for years and years and years. So, so just go check out the Facebook group and see if that's of interest to you, if you want to apply, or if you know somebody who might need a job in that area. It's a good opportunity for somebody who kind of wants to dip their toe in the water and see where it leads them.
Yeah, exactly. And it'll be interesting to be a part of that from kind of the ground up, because from what I understand, Uncle Mike is kind of revamping production up, kind of starting, kind of turning a new page, starting a new chapter. So you'll get to learn a lot from the ground up. And again, in the Oakland area, the baseball team is leaving, but hey, there's a new print shop that's there for you to enjoy. And when he hears that, he's going to be very upset. Yeah, I know, exactly. Yeah, listen, depending on how many people he hires, it could probably rival the attendance of an Oakland A's game. But so go be sure to check that out. Again, that job post is printondemandcast.com/Facebook, and we are very excited. We are approaching 5 episodes away from 3 years. And who knows, maybe in the 3-year mark, we'll arbitrarily start season 5. And you're thinking there's seasons to this show? And the answer is sure. So you never know. We'll see what happens. But the Print on Demand Cast turns 3 years old in 5 weeks. And we're excited to see what that episode holds. And it's going to be a good time either way. So for Travis, I'm Josiah. We'll see you next time right here on the Print on Demand Cast.
See ya.
Hey, babe. Thanks for listening to this week's episode of the Print on Demand Cast. We hope you enjoyed the Totally Tubular Show. If you got a question or a suggestion for the show, send Travis and Josiah an email at info@printondemandcast.com. Want to be wicked nice? Take a minute to rate and review the show on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. And don't forget to subscribe now so you don't miss next week's episode. See you next time, for sure.